Good day, students, and welcome back to the part 2 of our discussion regarding size and scale. And for this video tutorial, we're going to have lesson 1.3, which will tackle scientific notation. And did you know that in the field of science, there are measurements that are super small or super large, that the number of digits is too many to be written in a paper. And we have here some of the examples of those values, which first is the distance of the Earth and the Sun, which is 149,597,870 kilometers. Second, we also have the Avogadro's number, which is 602,214,107040908409907 number of particles, and lastly is the mass of a proton, which is 0.26 na 0 yan, and then 16726219239 kilograms. So take note, no, ang hirap niyang isulat at mahirap din siyang basahin kung babasahin natin kasi nga sobrang laki or sobrang liit ng mga numbers na yon. And in writing these kinds of figures is really too inconvenient and impractical for scientists. And actually, para sa atin din na mga normal lang na tao, abay mahirap din talagang isulat yung mga ganitong kind ng figure. So that a system of writing down very large or very small numbers is devised, which is called as scientific notation. And what is scientific notation? So scientific notation is a simple way to write and keep track of very large or very small numbers without having to deal with a lot of zeros. And it provides a convenient way of recording results and doing calculations. And take note that in writing number in scientific notation, the decimal point in the original number is moved to the right or left so that only one non-zero digit is located at the left of the decimal point. And this gives a number ranging from 1 to less than 10. So then, this number is shown as being multiplied by 10 raised to a power that is equal to the number of places the decimal point was moved. And we have here the lesson or sub-lesson which will focus on expressing measurements to scientific notation. So we have two processes on how are we going to express measurements to scientific notation. So number one is for numbers larger than 10. So the decimal point must be moved to the left, and the exponent that we're going to use in the notation is a positive number. So the answer must be round off to the nearest hundreds, and the numbers without a decimal point is understood to have 1 after its last digit. Okay, and we have here an example. Ayan, example number 1. So we have 602,200. Okay, ang sabi natin kanina, okay, for numbers larger than 10, yung decimal point ay i-move natin papuntang left. Okay, at kung gaano kadami yung movement niya papuntang left, dapat yung decimal point na nasa dulo ng 0 ay mapunta dito sa pagitan ni 6 and 0. So, minove natin siya ng 5 beses, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kaya naging sagot natin dito for its scientific notation is 6.02 multiplied by 10 raised to 5. Another example would be 14,959.7870. So, dapat nating i-move yung decimal point na nandito sa pagitan ni 9 and 7 sa pagitan ni 1 and 4. So, move natin siya ng ilan? 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 4. Kaya naman, ang naging final answer natin for its scientific notation is 1.5 or 50. Okay, multiplied by 10 raised to 4. Bakit 4? Kasi 4 times natin siyang minove papuntang kaliwa. Okay? And now, let's have the second. Okay, which is numbers smaller than 1. The decimal point must be moved to the right, and the exponent to be used is a negative number. So, we have here an example. Ito, okay, 0.0000000140. Okay, so dahil ito ay number that is smaller than 1, so therefore, ang ating decimal point na nandito sa may pagitan ng dalawang 0 ay move natin pa kanan. Okay, dahil kinana natin siya, so magiging negative yung ating exponent na nandito dahil yan ay 7 beses nating minove papuntang kanan, so naging 7 siya, at dahil nga papuntang kanan, so negative 7. And our answer is 1.40 times 10 raised to negative 7. Another example would be 0.01672, which will give you the answer for its scientific notation, 1.67 multiplied by 10 raised to negative 2. Bakit negative 2? Kasi dalawang beses nating minove papuntang kanan. 1, 2. Dapat nandun siya pupunta sa pagitan ni 1 and 6. And then, bakit siya? Ayan, 6, 7. Kasi dapat naka-hundreds yung ano natin. 2 decimal places yung lag nandun sa ating after the decimal point. And that is how are we going to express measurements to scientific notation. And the question now is, how are we going to express a scientific notation to its expanded form? So meron din tayong sinusunod na process dyan. So number 1, for measurements with a positive exponent on its notation, move the decimal point to the right, and the number of the movement of decimal point is dependent to the number of its exponent. So we have here an example. Okay, 961.0122 multiplied by 10 raised to 5. So dahil ayan ay positive, no? Positive yung kanyang exponent, so automatically pag nakita niyo yung positive yung exponent, okay, pag i-express yung scientific notation to its expanded form, i-move nyo lang siya pa kanan. Right? Okay? Positive is always right. So ito siya, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So dinagdagan natin ng 0 doon kasi kailangan siyang magkaroon. And this is your expanded form for this scientific notation. Again, pag siya ay positive, ikanan muna agad. Okay? Next, we have 12.50 multiplied by 10 raised to positive 3, which will give you the answer for its expanded form, 12,500. Positive 3, so tatlong beses mo siyang i-move pa kanan. Okay, these are examples on how we're going to express scientific notation papuntang expanded form. Next rule, for measurements with a negative exponent on its notation, move the decimal point to the left. The number of the movement of decimal point is dependent to the number of exponent. Kung kanina, pag nakita mong yung kanyang exponent ay positive, ikakanan mo na. This time, pag nakita mong negative, kakaliwa mo na yan. So we have here an example. Okay, ito yung kanina nating in-example, no? 961.0122 multiplied by 10 raised to negative 3. So dahil negative 3, tatlong beses mo siyang i-move saan? Negative yan, so pakaliwa. 1, 2, 3. So therefore, nandito na yung decimal point. So add ka lang ng 0 sa unahan ng 9. So it will give you the expanded form, 0.961012220. Okay, next is this. So 12.50 multiplied by 10 raised to negative 4. So, 4 na beses mo siyang i-move saan? Kaliwa. Bakit? Kasi negative yung kanyang sign. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, ito, dagdag natin ng dalawang 0 dito sa unahan ng 1. So, it will give you the answer, 0.001250. And that is how we're going to express scientific notation to its expanded form. So next subtopic, we have operations involving scientific notation. So kung kanina, we have operations involving significant figures, this time we do also have operations involving scientific notation. And just like doon sa operation ng significant figures, when we are going to perform mathematical operations, there are two rules for limiting the number of significant figures in an answer. And one rule is again for addition and subtraction, and the other rule is for multiplication and division.
And now let's have the rule for addition and subtraction of scientific notation. So let's have the 4 steps that are involved in addition and subtraction of scientific notation. And then in this column, we have the examples. So let's have the step number 1, which is make sure that the exponents are the same before you perform the indicated operation, and our basis is the exponent that is closer to 1. Just like here in our example, we can notice that the exponents are not the same, which we have here negative 3 and negative 1. Okay, and in our first step, So kailangan muna daw maging magkatulad yung exponent nila before you proceed with step number 2, which is etong magiging basis natin is yung mas malapit sa 0. And then if you're going to compare -3 and -1, so which one is closer to 0? So therefore itong -1. So ang -3, so kailangan natin itong i-convert or gawing -1. So paano yun mangyayari? So kada move mo, 'di ba? Sabi ko dun sa nakaraan natin na discussion, so kapag negative yung ating exponent, so automatic papuntang left 'yun. So kada move mo ng isa papuntang left, magiging 2 na siya, mababawasan siya ng isa, okay? And then isa pang move, magiging 1 na siya. So ibig sabihin dalawang beses mo siyang i-move papuntang left. Therefore, magiging -1 na yung kanyang exponent. Okay? Pag minove natin itong decimal point sa pagitan ng 1 and 3, so 1, 2, and then ang exponent na to ay magiging -1 na, so which will give us its converted form, which is 0.41301 times 10 raised to -1. So after nating ma-make sure na same na yung kanilang exponent, then we can proceed now with step number 2, which is count the number of decimal places for each value. So just like in the addition and subtraction involving significant figures, ang binibilang pa rin dito sa addition and subtraction ng scientific notation ay decimal places. So here, in our example, so ito yung ating itinulad na -1. So ilan yung kanilang decimal places? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 decimal places. And then for our 13.8, we only have 1 decimal place here. And then for our step number 3, which is perform the indicated operation and copy the exponent. So just add 0.41301 to 13.8. And then it will give you the answer, 14.2131. And then copy lang natin yung kanilang exponent and notation, which is times 10 raised to -1. And for your final answer, you need to consider the least number of decimal places. So balikan natin yung step number 2 wherein we have 5 decimal places and 1 decimal place. So therefore, for your final answer, it must only have 1 decimal place. So itong 14.21301, kailangan natin siyang i-round off to the nearest tenths. Okay, kasi nga dapat ay isang decimal place lang yung meron siya. And it will give us the final answer, 14.2 times 10 raised to -1. And that is our example for the operation involving scientific notation under the addition and subtraction. And now let's proceed with multiplication and division. So just like in the addition and subtraction of scientific notation, so it has also 4 steps. And what are these steps? So we have step number 1, count the number of significant figures for each values. So here, our given is 4.4, which has 2 significant figures. And then our second value is 0.4, which has 1 significant figure. So take note, no, hindi kailangan na maging magkatulad yung kanilang exponent. So just for our first step is kailangan mo lang bilangin yung number of significant figures or digits ng bawat value natin. And then you can proceed, okay, sa ating step number 2 kung nalagyan mo na siya dito ng number of significant figures. So let's have step number 2, which is you need to perform the indicated operation. So just multiply 4.4 multiplied by 0.4. It will give you the product of 1.76. Okay, and then anong gagawin natin ngayon sa ating exponents and notation? So here in step number 3, for the exponent, so you're going to subtract the exponent if the operation is division, and then you need to add the exponents if the operation is multiplication. And then here in our example, our operation here is multiplication, so therefore you are going to add the exponent. So just add -3 plus -2 and it will give you the sum -5. And for your final answer, you're going to consider the least number of significant figures, wherein dito kanina kailangan meron lang siyang isang significant figure. So itong 1.76 natin ay i-convert natin siya into 2. Okay, so kailangan isa lang yung kanyang significant figure. So kaya ni-round off natin siya sa ones. Ayan, and then it will give you the answer 2 times 10 raised to -5. So that's the final answer. If you're going to follow the operations involving scientific notation for multiplication and division. So the only thing that you need to familiarize yourself with is etong kapag sa exponents na, okay, pag division yung kanyang operation, so subtract the exponents. Okay, and then pag multiplication naman, add the exponents. So you need your prior knowledge about the integers, okay, yung operations involving the signs of an integer. And then, so here's the question for you. Are there things that are unclear to you? If yes, so feel free to contact me at this contact number, Facebook account, Gmail, and you can also visit our YouTube channel, Sir RJ Olarve, for the video of this video tutorial. And then, okay, just a reminder again from 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31 that when you eat or drink or do anything else, always do it to honor God. So God bless grade 11 students. So see you on our Zoom meeting next week.